Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do our topic on the foundations of American government. So, the first question is, where does government come from? We start all the way back with the Hammurabi Code. The code consisted of 282 laws of punishments that varied based on social status, if you were slaves, free men, or property owners. Some have seen the code as an early form of constitutional government, as an early form of the presumption of innocence, and as the ability to present evidence in one's case. Major laws covered in the code include slander, trade, slavery, duties of workers, theft, liability, and divorce. Nearly half of the code focused on contracts and a third on household relationships. Then we have the Roman Empire, with the creation of the world's first elected assembly. It also created the idea of separation of powers and expanded upon the idea given by the Hammurabi Code by having the laws voted on by an elected body. Then we have Carta. This is a law signed in England that sets clear limits on the king's rights, saying that he could not collect taxes without Parliament's permission, could not imprison people without just cause, and set clear limits on what the king could and could not do. It also says that monarchs do not have the divine right to rule. The monarch must have Parliament's permission to suspend laws, create taxes, or build an army. The monarch cannot interfere with Parliament's elections. People should not be subject to cruel and unusual punishment. And people have the right to a fair and speedy trial. So now we talk about who influenced our modern government. Well, we start back with Aristotle, who was a student of Plato. He wrote Politics. He says the right type of constitution was based on the common good, whether the government was headed by a king, an aristocracy, or by the many, the polity. The wrong type of constitution was based on personal self-interest. We have Thomas Hobbes, the English philosopher who wrote Leviathan. He said, people are incapable of ruling themselves primarily because humans are naturally self-centered and quarrelsome and need the iron fist of a ruler. So he's saying that in people are unable to govern themselves, they need a ruler. John Locke. He's an English philosopher who wrote the two treatises of government. He came up with the ideas that people are born with natural rights, life, liberty, and property, that the ruler only gains authority through the consent of the people governed. So that means if the people do not consent to their government, the government does not have the authority to rule over them. And if the government fails to protect the people's natural rights, citizens have the right to overthrow the government. Then we have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He's a Swiss philosopher who wrote The Social Contract. He says man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. He says all political power must reside with the people, exercising their general will. They would give up all their rights, but not to a king, but to the whole community, all the people. He called all the people the sovereign, a term used mainly to refer to a king. And he said the people exercise their general will to make laws for the public good. Next, we have Montesquieu. He is a French philosopher who wrote The Spirit of the Laws. He says the main purpose of government is to maintain law and order, political liberty, and the property of the individual. He says the best form of government was one in which the legislative, executive, and judicial powers were separate and kept each other in check to prevent any branch from becoming too powerful. Next, we have Voltaire. Voltaire is a French philosopher. He is an especially strong supporter of fair trials and the freedom of religion. He is famous for the quote, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, which is that he is a very strong supporter of the freedom of speech. He advocated for tolerance, reason, and limited government. That is all for today. See you next video.